Coming up on this episode of Flirtations, I'm thrilled to kick off a transformative episode with celebrity coach Whitney Uland about how you can harness the power of celebrity energy to become the ultimate attractor in your dating life. We'll get into what celebrity energy really is, how heart-brain coherence can supercharge your authenticity, and why overcoming the fear of being perceived, of being seen for who you are is the key to standing out in the dating world. Whitney breaks down the three main blocks that hold us back from tapping into this energy and shares how you can tap more deeply into your own celebrity energy right now. We'll also explore how developing an abundance mindset helps you see possibilities even when they're not immediately clear, why finding fulfillment in life ensures that dating remains a part of your journey and not your entire story, and why it's okay to want more. Plus, you'll hear a personal story of self-love and belief from the flirt coach himself and how I embodied celebrity energy to help get me here today. So, if you're ready to tap into your own celebrity energy and become irresistible in your dating life, this episode is for you. Let's do this, flirties. Time to meet Whitney.
I heard you wanted to flirt. I heard you wanted to flirt. I heard you wanted to flirt. Hello, my name is Benjamin. I'm the flirt coach and a gay Libra. Everyone has an inner flirt.
Hey, flirty.
Live, laugh, flirt.
Work the flirt.
Work the flirt. Delulu is the Salulu. Expert on the flirt.
Hey, flirty. There's always another flirt.
Everyone has an inner flirt. Get out of your head and into the flirt.
Flirties, today we're going to be talking about how to harness the power of celebrity energy to become the ultimate attractor in your dating life with speaker, celebrity coach, and host of the How to Be Famous podcast, Whitney Uland. Hello and welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited. I feel like I never get to talk about dating as much as I would like to, so I'm really excited.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's what we're going to do today. And I'm excited as well. I think there's going to be so many parallels we're going to find between your work as a celebrity coach and my work as the flirt coach.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It really is. It really is all the same.
Yes. And this is a little bit, honestly, of a pinch me moment as I've been following you. I don't know if you know this, but for years, Whitney.
Wow, that makes me so happy. Thank you. I appreciate that.
And you've been a big part of my journey as the flirt coach.
Oh, yes. Yay. I love that. See, isn't that fun? It's like when we step into what our purpose, it has ripple effects, which is amazing.
Oh my gosh. And we're going to talk about that throughout the conversation today, because what I see from the flirties and what I hear, and I bet you see this too, is so many of us are in this stage of our lives where everything we thought we knew, everything we thought we wanted, everything we've maybe worked for, we're like, hold up. What's next? Or I felt like I was on the right path, but now not so much. What's my next move? What's coming, right? What's after this, wherever I'm at in life? So I'm really excited to chat more about that experience that I think a lot of us are collectively having.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's got to be something happening with like the moon and the stars and stuff too, because it does feel like we're kind of all going through that.
Truly. But up first, I want to get into the origin story of your work as a celebrity coach. So for the flirties, meeting you, listening to you for the first time today, how did you get started doing this?
Yeah, it's kind of it really has been like a very kismet, like all of the stars kind of aligned. So my background is in acting, and I've also always had an fascination in psychology. I had a minor in psychology in college, a major in musical theater, moved to New York City and was pounding the pavement. And I gotta say, like, looking back even now, I really did have all of the talent. I had all of the pieces. I had, the training. I knew what I was doing. I knew how to walk into a room. I knew, like, from the outside, it looked like everything should be clicking. And yet it just wasn't hitting when I started auditioning. I was getting so many callbacks and a lot of people being like, you're great. We're just not really sure where to put you. And, just never quite landing the jobs that I was really excited about. And about 6 months into my time in New York City, I remember it was around my birthday. I had 100 auditions under my belt.
Oh my
and
gosh.
so I went out to celebrate my birthday and these 100 auditions. And the next day, my dad called and he told me, he was like, hey, I found this out yesterday. Wanted to wait till after your birthday, but my cancer has turned into terminal leukemia and I don't have very much longer to live. So that was a big, wake up call. I moved home with him and was able to take care of him until he passed away. And I'm so grateful that I did that, but it really rocked my world. I was fresh out of school. I was 23, I think. And, just kind of gave me all of those big life questions of what do I really want out of life? What am I doing?
Yeah.
And also just really mess with my mental health. Like I just was in a really dark place.
Yeah.
And I found I was trying therapy. I think I wasn't ready for it. It wasn't ready for me. I hadn't found the right person, whatever, but I ended up finding a life coach, Brooke Castillo, and that was really what got me into the mindset piece. And once I started doing that just for my own healing, I noticed that then my career started to take off, right? And it really seemed very correlated that the two were going together. And that's when I started getting yeses. That's when I started booking big jobs. That's when I started landing the top deals, getting the big Hollywood agents, winning awards, traveling the world with my work. And so I really just kind of found that connection and intuitively had a hit in 2019 that I was like, I really love this. Why don't I get certified in it? And then in 2020, right when my acting career was really taking off, then everything shut down. And so on hiatus, there were no acting jobs, but I was like, well, let's dig into this life coaching thing. And it really took on a life of its own. That's when I signed my first celebrity client and really just realized how much of an impact the mindset piece is, and specifically on how that is what creates what I call celebrity energy. It's the it factor. It's what makes you magnetic, and that's a skill that you can learn, and that it all comes down to neuroscience and to your mind. And so, just kind of finding all of that and then going all in on that. And I've been doing it ever since. So it's really fun.
Amazing, Whitney. Thank you so much for sharing that. I want to stay here for a minute before we get into what is celebrity energy. You teased it there, but I'm curious to hear from your experience. What were some of those mindset shifts that you made to start getting those yeses? And to tie it to dating, sometimes what I hear from the flirties is they maybe haven't had secure love modeled for them. They haven't had that secure relationship. So they have this self-doubt. They have some trepidation, some uncertainty, even believing that they're deserving of it, let alone knowing what it looks like. So 100%. Some of those mindset shifts you made, I think, we're already here with the parallels between celebrity energy and dating.
Well, I think I'm sure that it's almost even before believing that you're deserving of it. It's like you have to even believe that it's possible and get your hopes up for it. This is not really my origin story, but I also went through a divorce about a year and a half ago. And I think that really rocked me is then I was getting back into the dating world. And I don't think I even realized how much it rocked my belief in love. I'm a Pisces girly. I am such a love sucker. I a prime target for love bombers. Let's be very clear, unfortunately. But I think just being so heartbroken, I was reading my journals recently and I had completely quit believing in love. And I just was like, okay, marriage is a business thing and I don't really believe in that. And, it really took a long time and a lot of inner work of the healing of of letting myself get my hopes up again. And I think that's just kind of even been a process as I'm now with my boyfriend. It's I don't think I even could fully see it until I was experiencing it. And it has been this very spooky experience where I'm I feel like a what's it called? Like a stray dog or something where it's I keep getting spooked really easily, but and just being wait, what? But I think that really the main piece with dating is just believing that it's possible. And I think for me, it came from being okay, well, I have this huge heart. I have these, I'm a hopeless romantic.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Maybe other people are too. Maybe it's not just me, but when you've had just such bad experiences, it's really hard. And it takes a lot of bravery to get to even dream about that again, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. Yeah, we believe in love here on Flirtations. We're lover girls, lover boys. We love a romance, story for sure. And believing that it's possible is so important. And I think what you're also speaking to is this experience of kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop, waiting for like that problem to present itself. And so it's a little bit of this, like when there's maybe just a slight shift in energy, or maybe you like, I don't know, have a good night kiss every night before bed. And then one night it doesn't happen. It turns out they were just tired or stressed, or they went to bed early or something. But you play that in your mind like, oh my God, something must be wrong. You're kind of looking for that problem. And so part of the mindset shift is just being with the experience, being present with it, being curious, rather than always kind of second guessing, overthinking. Oh my gosh. A process indeed.
And I think it also, a lot of it kind of comes down to your overall like self-concept of, it's kind of like with acting jobs, right? It's like, when I was auditioning, obviously you're going to get told no so much. Like that's just part of it.
Yeah.
And so it's like having to kind of put blinders up to what you're currently seeing and still believe that it's possible. So whether that is like you're going on all the date, like you're on the apps and everyone sucks, like that experience, or you're with someone and there's like an off night or whatever, just remembering that like it's not these. Like it's almost like you have to like strengthen the skill of your reactivity to be able to be like, okay, I'm triggered right now. Whether it's like with acting, you're like, I just want to quit. I want to throw everything away. I want to throw in the towel. Or you're in a relationship and you're like, everything's gone wrong. I'm just like I still do this. Let's be very clear. Like I was texting one of my friends the other night and I was just like, I'm pretty sure he hates me. And he's like, Whitney, he doesn't. And then like, an hour later, like my boyfriend texted and was so sweet and was like, let me come over, whatever. But it really does. It's about like having, and I'm sure, you talk about this a lot, but in either situation, it's like having that relationship to yourself that you can hold through the discomfort of being triggered and of that like negative emotion that comes up. It's hard.
Yeah, it is hard. So relatable, though. And this is why the themes of self-love will always be present on Flirtations and in my content. And I know they're present in your content and your podcast as well. It's like that practice of just emotional regulation. Because if the people you're dating, if the experience you're having existing outside of yourself become your emotional regulators. So when things are good, you're good. But maybe when things aren't so good, you fall apart, or a slight shift in energy or a slight change, something like that. And now you're spiraling. It's like that used to be my experience almost exclusively in dating. And now it's become just a much more centered process. Doesn't mean it's always easy, that it's free of rejection and heartbreak, but it just... my world isn't rocked.
Yeah. And having like the tools to be able to come to work through it and like, I think like something that I was actually, I feel like it's been a skill because my, like for sure, my marriage was very codependent, like, and emotionally, I think we relied on each other in different ways, but, that weren't the best. And so I think it's been a real challenge to be like, okay, can I tune into myself? And also, it's like a dance. It's like, where is the line of being able to trust and rely on someone and let them in to help you versus I'm just like always expecting that this person's going to jump in and rescue me when I'm having a bad day.
Absolutely.
It's fun. It's like, it's like a puzzle, like I don't know, like a game. I feel like every day.
A little bit. Indeed. And I think a piece of that puzzle is celebrity energy. Let's get into it. How would you maybe define or describe celebrity energy?
Yeah. So celebrity energy, it's the flow state. It's a hyper-present state. So hyper-present meaning it's a state that we all have access to this. We all have moments that we're in this at all times, but just not at all times. I like to think of it similar to like a mountain that's covered in fog. Just because the fog is in front of it doesn't mean the mountain disappeared, right? We all have access to this. Now, the idea is in acting, actors know you never want to do a scene with a dog or a baby because they will what's called pull focus, meaning you can be doing your best work and everyone is just going to want to watch them.
It's so true.
And the reason is not even because they're cute. It's because they're hyper present. They are just existing, and they have ultimately is they don't have the fear of being perceived. And even more specifically, they don't have the fear of being perceived for who they authentically are.
Okay.
So what ends up happening is they're just existing. And that is this really magnetic state that people are drawn to. And so I've had this experience. I grew up, I was raised Mormon, wasn't allowed to watch a lot of television, don't know who most celebrities are, if I'm completely honest.
Mm-hmm.
And yet I live in Los Angeles. So there are celebrities all the time. And even though I don't know who someone is, I know that there's someone, right? When I'm in the grocery store and I'm like, I can feel they have this energy around them. And it's this magnetic energy that pulls them in. If we get into like the nitty, I'm going like very deep in the weeds here. Is that okay?
Ears.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what it essentially comes from is what's called heart and brain coherence. What this means is when you're thinking thoughts and you're feeling feelings that are in alignment and they're not afraid, right? So if you are like, and fear can be insecurity. It can be, what if people see this thing about me? What if they notice this, whatever. Yeah. All of those thoughts are getting in the way of you being in this hyper-present flow state. So the work is of tapping into celebrity energy, and really great performers, great actors know how to do this, is you just turn it on. You just literally drop all of the resistance, you drop all of the walls, and you let people witness you for exactly where you are. When you're doing that in dating, that's also what makes people very attracted to you. Yeah. But it also, I think, makes it very clear very quickly if someone is a yes or a no, because oftentimes when we're in that state of fear, we're putting up walls, we're pretending to be someone else, and it's harder for someone to actually see us. Yeah. And so then it like lengthens the process of people getting to know us.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. So good. Yeah. Like that people have that it factor about them. They've got that energy, that pull where maybe you don't know who they are, what they do, their experience, maybe a talent creatively or otherwise that they have, but somehow you're just drawn to them. They're like a magnet. Yes. You can't help but sort of look and gaze and wonder like, who is that? Yes.
Yes. And I also, another like way that I love to think about this is, do you know that show Love Island?
Of course.
Okay. Yeah. You get it. Okay. So there's like all the bombshells are in one place. And like, we all think of them as being like, these are so many like sexy people, right? Like in one place. And yet if you were to pull this person out abstractly and just like look at their pictures, their stats, like see them on a dating app, you would have a completely different experience of them, right? It's because like they're not actually your type. They're just in celebrity energy. They are just in this alluring thing. And it's the same thing when you're on dates with someone. Someone can check all of the boxes. Maybe on their app, they're checking, they're like, they're hot, they're smart, they're talented, they're funny, but they just kind of give you the ick. And the ick is often, it can come from unhealed attachment and looking for problems, but it also can come from the person being desperate, right? And having these thoughts of being needy and being insecure. And essentially it's when a person is not existing in celebrity energy, then they're looking for you to define who they are. Right. Okay. They're looking for you to validate them and to say, this is, whereas when you're in celebrity energy, you're just existing and there's no like question mark about who you are or the way that you're showing up. Yeah. And that's what then draws people to you.
Okay. Yeah. Really. Like the word that's coming to mind is authenticity. That is like such a buzzword in your work and coaching in general, and my work as well, and dating relationships all over the place. And so I want to break down authenticity a little bit. And I have 2 follow-up questions from the way you were describing celebrity energy, because I talk about this in the flirt a little bit too. You mentioned how we're perceived. And I think so oftentimes in dating, I can only imagine auditioning for a role, or you got an audition, or you're flirting. You are trying to see yourself through the experience of someone else's eyes. And so you're trying to show up in the way that you feel like you should, or the way you want them to see you. And so your perception, it's distorted because you're seeing yourself through their eyes. So how can we more so show up authentically as ourselves with our own celebrity energy? I say everyone has an inner flirt. I would imagine everyone has their own inner celebrity energy too, their own it factor.
100%. So I mean, how do we do that? It's a process, right? Not an event. But I think so with this fear of being perceived, it usually boils down to three things. I'm not exactly sure. We're just going to go with this in terms of the celebrity energy. I'm guessing that they show up in dating, but we'll pull that together.
Okay.
If it works. So there's three main like blocks, I guess, that are going to keep you from feeling safe in your authenticity. At least on this like massive scale.
Okay.
Right. In terms of creating fame. So the first is going to be threats to your physical safety. Okay. So if you have this belief that, oh, I pop off, then a million eyes are going to be on me, I'm going to get a stalker, right? Then you're not going to feel safe. You're going to start putting up walls and you're just not going to be yourself. The same thing I guess could happen with dating. If you're, there's a lot of people that are just like, I'm afraid of men. I'm afraid of, being heartbroken, whatever, but this physical danger and also just the fear of the unknown, right? If you've never been deeply seen, if you've never experienced having a million eyes on you, whatever, your brain is going to reject anything that it thinks of as threatening. The second thing is going to be separation from your community. So this is your friends and your family, and they're thinking different things about you, right? And they're making a bunch of different judgments about the way that you're showing up, or it's cringe, or why are you trying, or whatever. And I think I would guess a lot of the time with dating that also gets in people's head when you're like, I'm at a certain age, my mom is having all these opinions, and whatever the kind of partner that I'm looking like. It was really hard for me to be in. I had a girlfriend before this current boyfriend, and that was really challenging being in a queer relationship and all my family's perceptions of it, and trying to stay in my own lane in that way. And then the third thing is going to be past negative experiences. So anytime you've been in the spotlight and, you got burnt before, it's like when a kid touches a hot stove, they're going to learn we're not doing that anymore. So the same thing. If you've shown yourself and been really vulnerable in a relationship and you were rejected for that, it's going to subconsciously teach you, this isn't safe. I can't just be who I am. And so then we start the shape shifting, and we also start, like, I just call this kind of like putting up energetic walls, right? It's like,
absolutely.
When I lived in Manhattan, if I was taking the subway home and someone got on, that kind of freaked me out, and I can't get off of the subway, I would just energetically shut down, right? I would put up walls and try to make myself invisible. We do the same thing when we're dating, when we're trying to be in the flow state, when we're trying to be perceived, if we don't feel like it's safe.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I think there's definitely all those experiences with perception play out in dating too, where maybe I'm thinking of you're at a speed dating event, just as an example. You're out at a club, an event, a networking thing, something like that, and you have got a lot of social anxiety, or you're more on the introverted side, you're more on the quiet side, and now maybe you're there alone, so you're not there with a friend or someone and then you're thinking in your head, oh my gosh, all my friends are getting married. My mom just texted me yesterday, like, are you still single? Why aren't you seeing anybody? And then you pair that with an experience where maybe you put yourself out there to flirt and you were rejected, or it didn't go well. And so now you're just totally in your head, and you would be shut down. You would be just present, but not like physically present, but not actually emotionally like present for the experience. Yeah, I can relate to that.
Totally.
I know the flirties can as well.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting. So I always like to say, like, with creating the resource of fame, being in celebrity energy, you essentially, people need to either want to be you, date you, or be your best friend. And for those of us who have experienced any kind of marginalization, any kind of rejection, if you were shy, like whatever, that's not something that's like super instinctual to you. And on the flip side, people who are very manipulative and predatory, they know how to do that. And so that can also create a very false sense of intimacy, and can create, right? Like when you're in the position where you're like putting up walls and someone else knows how to like get you to feel vulnerable around them and to fall in love with them really quickly. And so I think that's also why it's just so important to get to that place of that inner self-regulation and that inner sense of self and knowing. And it's hard. I mean, especially like when we've had all these, or the stories were too much, or the past experiences of being rejected when we are in our brightest, it's hard to then like regulate and be like, no, like this is, I love me for who I am. And that will attract the right people to me.
Yeah, and I'm glad you just mentioned that, as we were talking about perception, and the other P word that came up is pretend. And so now I'm curious to hear, because when you're dating, you're going to encounter the love bombers, the narcissists, the people, right, that come on really strong and maybe lead with a physical connection or something like money, status, title, and you may be attracted, really drawn to that. So how can we maybe differentiate someone in their own authenticity, their celebrity energy from the pretenders? Because there's a lot of pretenders out there.
There sure as hell are. And I think especially, so the best like way that I can correlate this is just, in the entertainment industry, there are so many predators who are like, I can help you with your career. Right. And I will lure you, whatever. And I truthfully, like I'm going to be a little bit vague on this just because I'm not quite ready to talk about it, but I had a really bad experience with this in work recently, and where someone was kind of dangling my career and in front of me and was very coercive and manipulative. And I'm so proud of myself for getting out of the situation very quickly. It was like at an event. Anyway, it was very spooky. But ultimately, I think it really reminded me that like we have to be so tuned into our intuition, right? And especially also just when the more that, so anytime that we are falling into, well, and let's be very clear, right? Just because a love bomber, someone like that comes into your life, that's not your fault, right? Like that people have free will and all of that. Yeah. But the best thing that we can do is to notice it right away as soon as possible, which I really believe that our intuition, our emotions are going to guide us, right? Yeah. If it's just this little like lingering question, this little like, my body's feeling a little bit uncomfortable right now. We have to listen to that above what the people are saying, if that makes sense. And like, really, I really do believe like something I love about my boyfriend right now is at first I was like almost confused because I was like, he doesn't do all the like the like gabbing. Yeah. But his actions are what are so clear. Okay. And so like really paying attention to how people act and not necessarily just the things that they say, I think is important. But ultimately, again, the thing is, when you are in a place of lack, when you are like, I need a relationship, I need this person, I need this career opportunity, whatever, that's when you're going to be susceptible to it. And that's when we start ignoring the red flags. We start ignoring our intuition saying, maybe this is not the right person. Right. And so I think especially just like, that's why it's even more important to get so comfortable with yourself, comfortable with making peace with where you're at, whether that's in your career and being like I really genuinely have had to have a lot of come to Jesus moments with myself where I'm just like, this might be all my career is. And that's amazing. And same thing. I remember when I was not right after, it took me a while to get to this, but right before I found my current partner is that, I kind of had this moment where I was like, if I die alone, right? And it's me, my son, and my dog, and my creative ideas. That's enough. I really had to like make peace with that, which is so like, it was so hard to do. I had so much resistance to that because I was like, no, but I want a relationship. I don't want to let go of like, in my mind, I was like, if I stop needing this, then I'm never going to have it. But really it was just like giving myself like wholeness, giving myself that like that anchor so that then I felt like it was easier to like say no as soon as, and like someone that I was like kind of talking to right before I met my boyfriend, I think we were talking for like 48 hours and I was like, I can tell, like we're out and this is out. And so I feel like that hang time gets a lot shorter, the less desperate you're feeling, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's so true. This is so good. What I'm picking up is really talking about this scarcity mindset, the mindset of lack. And so, oh my gosh, how this plays out in dating, right? Yeah. Like you feel like every time is the last time. It's the last opportunity. You feel like you maybe have to chase. I can't lose them. What if I never find anyone again? They may be even giving you just that bare minimum, that little bit, and you cling to it because maybe that's all you've had before. It's all you've experienced. Maybe that's all you believe that you're worthy 100%. Of. But celebrity energy, like believing in the possible. And something else that I was hearing is this, like, because I've had this experience too recently as a single flirty and just really trying to find contentment and fulfillment with exactly who I am and where I'm at in life, but also still having this desire for more for myself, more for my career, more for my relationships. And I think it's this cycle that plays into the scarcity mindset where you maybe are focusing on all the things you don't have or all the things that should be. But if you can find contentment and fulfillment with what you have and where you're at, all of a sudden, now all that space that was occupied by worry, self-doubt, right, expectation, you get to fill that space with gratitude, appreciation, love, and people are going to be attracted to that because now you're really coming into your authentic self, your celebrity energy.
Yeah. Well, and something that I also love what you were saying is I think it takes courage to bet on the possibility that you could have more, that something could be actually better. And specifically that you get to be the exception. Yeah. Right. I feel like that's so much of the work if you want to be a celebrity is because every single person, it is culturally very acceptable for people to be like, you have it all already. Why would you want more? Do you have all of the things? And even it wasn't my choice necessarily to end my marriage, but I could have looked at that and been like, that was it all. I quote unquote had it all. This is fine. This is good enough. And I think that really would have been limiting instead of no, what about this love in my mind that blows my mind that I don't even know if it's real yet. Yeah. But I hear people talk about it and I read about it in books and in movies and stories. And that's how I love. Yeah. So what if that is possible? And what if that's possible for me? Right. Yeah. And it really takes I felt like, especially while I was single, I was really on single girl TikTok. And it's just all these experiences of people being like, men are terrible. Dating is so hard. I'm going back to women, all of the things. Right. And I think it was easy to be okay, that is truth. That is just what it is. And I think what you have to do is hold space for that being people's truth and being and what if I get to be the exception to that? Yeah. What if something else is possible for me? But culturally, that's not the popular opinion because people, even though they say that they want more, it's uncomfortable to strive for more and to be perceived striving for more. And so most people will settle. And part of it is because we find community. I don't know if you've had this experience with relationships or friendships. I especially notice this in acting where it's as soon as I quit being a struggling actor, I no longer had anything in common with a lot of my community. Right. Yeah. And I think it's the same with dating when you're you have a crew of we're all the single flirties, right? Yeah, and we're all just commiserating together. Yeah. And for you to transcend beyond that actually does lead to isolation. So I think that's also why our brains want to avoid it.
That's so good. Yeah. Misery loves company, a very popular phrase we've all heard. And it's not as if you're hanging out with a bunch of miserable people and you're miserable, but you're commiserating over these experiences of oh my God, all men are trash, or you're dating women, right? Everyone's just out to get me, or they want something. Yep. No one's for me. It'll never happen. And so you just bond over that experience. But to transcend that and believe that you can have more. I want to play in the space of desire a little bit. And one of my favorite themes that you talk about on your podcast and your content is that of blocking your big break, blocking the blessing, right? And so in this space of transcendence, this is the tricky part. It does get a little bit lonely at times because not everyone is going to understand. Not everyone is going to be able to go on that journey with you because they're just not ready. Yeah. They're not ready. So playing in the space of desire, transcendence, believing that we can have more and then asking for it. What do you help us?
I mean, listen, I think that one of to me, that's why celebrities are important and why coaches and why mentors are important. They say that you're an average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. Yeah. And so if you look around and you're the 5 people, do any of them believe in what I'm creating? And not only believe in it, but are they that's so easy. That's so inevitable. You need someone like that to help you normalize what it is for you. And that's where, I think that part of the regulation comes in. I feel like my life was ultimately saved by some of the life coaches that I've had that I never even met in person, and some of the thought leaders and some of the people who it just felt like and ultimately I had created this parasocial relationship with them where I was like, we are friends. Like we know each other. If we were hanging out, we would have the best lunch ever.
Absolutely.
But really it was like, that was a replacement for my in-person community that at the time was kind of in this like miserable, stuck state. So I think that's why we love celebrities. That's why we love thought leaders, and why it's important to follow your desires. If you have, I'm just such a believer. If you have the desire for fame, you need to follow it, because I believe that if you have that desire, it's because you have a soul contract with millions of people, and that you're part of their journey and part of their expansion to help them. So, but yeah, I do agree. I think that in terms of like actual, like I feel like, right, it's like the darkest is before the dawn oftentimes. And a lot of the time, I'm a believer that your negative emotions are the currency for your dreams. So most people are too afraid to feel all the way lonely. And so they'll just keep themselves distracted from loneliness, right? So, and like, let me just keep going on a bunch of dates. Let me just like keep trying all these things. That was for sure me, especially like the first year of my divorce. Like I just was like, let's just stay afloat. Like, I don't want to deal with this. And it really wasn't until I faced those emotions and really just felt them. And I know that like sounds like basic, right? Feel your feelings. But when I finally felt them, and I kind of felt like I had like a little bit of a rock bottom moment of just feeling deep despair and deep loneliness. But once I felt it, I realized I was okay. And I realized I didn't die, and and like I was still able to get up. And so then I wasn't as afraid of loneliness. And so then I was able to sit with the loneliness a little bit longer and start making better decisions in dating.
Yeah. Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Feeling your feelings. Yeah. Really, really, really good. And the phrase that's coming to mind is your breakdown is your breakthrough. I've heard on Flirtations before.
Yeah.
I like the one, the greater resistance, the greater the greater the breakthrough. So like, just because you may be in this state of loneliness or isolation now, it's like the darkest is before the dawn. It's like the caterpillar must become the butterfly. You're in your incubation period. You're in your kind of your self-isolation period of healing. Doesn't mean you have to do this alone, right? Still reach out to thought leaders, coaches, gurus, podcasts, social media, friends, family, right? Cultivate and build out your network, because that network is going to serve you so well once you step into that next phase. You're coming out of that dark night of the soul period of the hero's journey, and the future you, if you're in this space right now, is going to be so grateful and thankful that you just kept believing in yourself and stuck with it.
Totally. Yeah. And I think it's kind of a dance to be like, am I running away from my emotions, or am I indulging in them? Right. Like, I think for a long time I was like, no. Because I was in so much resistance. Yeah. I kind of tricked myself into thinking that I was like feeling my feelings, but really I just was like, so I think it's like, can I sit with stillness with these emotions and just like let them, like, can I just surrender to the emotions and to those feelings? Yeah. It's tricky. Easier said than done. It's tricky.
So many of us are distracting ourselves. And I mean, I still do this. We all do this.
We all do. It's human, of course.
Being uncomfortable is uncomfortable. Yeah. It's like, it's not our natural inclination to be like, oh, okay, I'm going to be sad today. Or, oh, yay, anxiety. I can't wait for this. Or, oh, loneliness. I've longed for this. No.
Right.
You want to feel the inverse of that. But it's like, everything exists kind of on a pendulum. There's always the duality of these experiences. So the inverse of loneliness, you're going to get to experience the connection and the love and all of that as well. And when you have it, when you experience that, it's going to feel all that more wonderful, because you felt the inverse. Yeah.
Well, and through feeling the inverse, through feeling the negative emotion, that's where you build that relationship with yourself.
Yes.
Where then you have your own back, so that then you can make better decisions,
Absolutely.
Right? Because if you're like, oh, I'm good with this negative emotion, I'm good with feeling this loneliness, that's when then you are like, I actually don't need to say yes to this date. You're no longer reacting from a place of fear and trying to avoid the fear. You actually just like, and you think about it like with animals in the wild, right? When we experience emotions, like literally negative emotion creates cortisol in our body, adrenaline, right? We go into this state of fight, flight, fawn. And so then it's like our bodies, you can't also be making amazing decisions if you're running away from a bear, right?
Exactly.
Like that, then all of your time and energy just goes into like escape, survive. And when that's what your brain is doing, because you're avoiding these negative emotions, you can't make the better decisions.
Yes.
And surround yourself with the right people.
That's such a good analogy. I love when fear comes up in conversation. Yeah, if you're constantly reacting out of this place of fear, like how can you make decisions that are most aligned with your authentic self, your it factor energy, your authenticity? Yeah, it's you're going to be more inclined to settle or say yes when you really want to say no. I mean, I know a lot of flirties have those experiences dating.
Or be in that like desperate energy that someone who is not, when someone is, they've got the secure attachment, they're sure what they're looking for, they're not going to be attracted to when you're in that state of, that what I call like the energetic body odor.
Ugh, I love it. Whitney, before we conclude, can I share a little bit of a story?
Oh my God, I would love that. Please.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I am now unabashedly claiming my own desire to be a celebrity. I think it's my destiny. Yeah, I feel it within me that I'm now on this path to fame. It's inevitable. Yeah. It's only a matter of time. And so I had this experience recently where I was in Los Angeles. I know some of the flirties listen to the Sabrina Zohar show, right? Very amazing dating and relationship coach. And we've connected over the years. We've done a podcast swap. We followed each other. And she was really one of the first people to pay me any attention when I was just getting this flirt coach mission started. And I will never forget that. I will forever be grateful to her. And one thing she said on my podcast was that she is here to build the table longer, not the fence higher. And she's like, if we're aligned in our mission, we're both coming from this place of authenticity, of compassion, of love, right? We don't have to agree on all the same things, but we're relatively aligned. I want you at my table. And it was so validating early on in this experience in my career as a flirt coach, where I had a whole 9-to-5 before this. I was a city planner. I was very much in that space of like, oh my God, what's coming next? And so fast forward, I'm in Los Angeles. Her podcast, the Sabrina Zohar Show, is celebrating 2 years. And I was in the car on the way there, and I was so nervous.
Yeah.
I was so nervous. I was like, oh my God. I was like, windows open, take a deep breath. That's not even working. What am I going to do? But then I tapped into maybe my celebrity energy a little bit. And I realized, wait a second, Benjamin, you're there because she wants you to be there. You're there because you've done the work. You're there because she's offering you a seat at her table. And all you have to do is be yourself. That is all you have to do. And in that moment, all my anxiety disappeared. My shoulders dropped. My breathing returned to a normal rate, because it was just so freeing and liberating, where I didn't have to pretend. I didn't have to try and allow myself to be perceived in one certain way. I didn't have to do all the right things or like say hello to every single person and do all the networking and stuff. I just had to be myself, be in my own energetic body, and have a really good time. And that was so freeing and so liberating. And then the other iteration of that is like, now I'm in this space of, for so long, lacking self-confidence and lacking self-love, even though I did have people in my life that believed in me, right? Family, friends. And now I'm like, Benjamin, okay, you actually owe it not only to yourself, but all the people that have supported you to finally believe in yourself like they've always believed in you. And I was like, beautiful. You know what? For Sabrina Zohar, for my mama, for my friends, for my dad, right? Everyone that has believed in me, it's now my turn to believe in myself too.
That's so beautiful. Can I point out something I also love about that story?
Yes, please. Mm-hmm.
Is that, so you were saying like on the drive over there, you were like, oh, just me existing is enough.
Yes.
Right. But let's even like go back a step to when you and Sabrina first connected. It was some level of you being your authentic self was enough. Yeah. Right. And I think that that's what I always say with fame, it's new levels, new devils, but you always have to believe that you are worthy of being there before
Yes.
there's any evidence of it.
Oh
So
my
there was
God.
some
Yes.
part of you, even though now your self-confidence has grown even more and now you're meeting her in person and you're in LA, all of that. But whether it was, and I don't even know, maybe she first reached out to you, but there was something about you that you said yes to you.
Yes.
You started putting yourself out there, and that's what then attracted and aligned the right people.
That's
and that's, I think, really the work. And that's where, what we were talking about just at the very beginning about betting in the possibility that this could be you, taking that first step before there's any evidence, whether it's in love, whether it's in fame, whether it's in whatever you're creating. It's just being willing. It is kind of being willing to be delusional, right?
Oh my gosh,
being
delulu. It's a salulu. I say it all the time.
It always is, right? But, and you can do that while you're scared, and you can do that while you're, and it's, I love also that how you're sharing with the story. It is such an evolution and such a journey where it's like for you at one point coming into internet connection and doing the podcast with Sabrina would have probably blown your mind.
Yes.
Whereas, and then the next level is like, okay, but being in person is what blows your mind, right? And that just is what continues to grow, which is so fun.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, this word of alignment keeps coming up. Like you being in this energy is going to align you right to the people that are also seeing your own authenticity. And it doesn't mean in all of this, I mean, my gosh, existing online and creating videos and having a podcast, I get no's and rejections all the time, right? I mean, I post something that I think is a creative work of art and then, no one really sees it. So like there is constant rejection and even disappointment in doing this work. But I just believe, right, so fully in myself and know that I've got something to say, something to share. And it's just, coming back to this concept of self-belief.
Yeah. Well, and can I give you unsolicited coaching?
Absolutely.
I just want to point out, like, even the way that you said it, you're like, I know I will be a celebrity or I will be famous. I think like everyone always asks me or like people will be like, do you think you're famous? And I'm like, yes. Fame is a resource. Fame is having the resource of having people's attention. It's the same with wealth, right? Everyone has a different number. To some people, having $100,000, that's a wealthy person. Just other people having $100 million is a wealthy person, right? But ultimately it's coming back to and just like bridging the gap to that present moment. So like, and again, this is where I'm saying the unsolicited coaching, but even just like changing that narrative for you already are a celebrity. You already are famous.
Thank you, Whitney. Thank you.
The fame is compounding. It's growing. And the more that you believe that, the faster it's going to grow.
Are we quantum leaping right now?
We're quantum leaping. It's go time, Benjamin.
Oh my God, I love it. All right, I'm going to replay that portion of the interview over and over again. All right. In these last few moments, Whitney, before we conclude, we teased at the beginning of the interview that we were going to come full circle back to this topic of transition, of healing. Yes, we've been talking about that throughout, but I think there are so many flirties right now in this phase of their life of, okay, like I know I need to make a change. Maybe I'm scared. There's fear. There's resistance, lack of belief. I'm not even sure what that change entails, but there's something else out there for me. Or maybe they've made the big change and now they're like, oh my God, did I make the right decision?
Yeah.
So let's end the interview on that note. What do you have for the flirties?
Okay. So I've got two things. The first is sometimes I think that we have energetic leaks. What I mean by that is we have things that we know we're supposed to be doing that we haven't been doing. These are post those clips, record the content, get back on the app, whatever it is. And sometimes it's like, pay your bills. It's just these little to-dos that we're like putting off, right? If you're like trying to make money and you're avoiding looking at your bank account, it's like, no, you actually do know what to do. Your brain is just trying to convince you and look for, well, that's not big enough. Let's do the next step. Right. I believe that creativity, all of this it's like a basil leaf. If you take one of the leaves off, two more will grow in its space. So if you're feeling stuck, check in, be like, what are the leaks? What am I not doing that, like, even if it feels a little bit unrelated, it probably is not. It probably is the next step. And you're kind of like blocking blessings from coming to you by not taking those actions. And then the second thing I would just say is to really just bet on what could be possible, right? What could the idealized version look like, and be willing, feel like I honestly think some of the scariest thing is writing down your dreams and like literally just being like, I want whether it's like, I want a love, I want a marriage that's like, that blows my mind, that my partner and I are best friends and we build this amazing life together.
Yeah.
Whether it's that, or whether it's like, no, I want to be on Good Morning America. I want to be, whatever it is, actually writing those things down is so scary, but I think it's a really great place to start if you're feeling stuck.
I agree. Even writing it down, it becomes a little bit real. And now there's some accountability there. It's no longer just a thought in your head. You've taken action on that thought. And so now, right, coming into your celebrity energy is to, all right, how are we going to align our actions to our thoughts and make this happen? Yeah.
Exactly.
Believing in yourself. Yeah. I've often said I took the first step and got ready in the process. I was just delusional enough to believe that I could do this.
Yep. And that's all you need is just to be delusional enough.
Truly.
Not
now,
even, you don't have to have full confidence. You just have to have enough to get started.
Yes. Recording with Whitney Uland on Flirtations, broadcast all over the world. Yeah. I'd say the delusion worked.
It worked. Yeah. You're living proof of it.
It totally worked. Oh my God, Whitney, I want to send all the flirties your way to the podcast, How to Be Famous, to your socials. If they're being called to work with you to cultivate their own celebrity energy, how can they do that? And where can they find you?
Yeah, I'm on all the socials at Whitney Uland. And my podcast is How to Be Famous with Whitney Uland. So website's howtobefamous.org. So if you search How to Be Famous, you're
going to come up. All right, flirties.
You'll find me. Yeah.
I am going to have all those links in the show notes below. Whitney, thank you so much for making one of my flirty dreams come true today.
Thank you. This was such a delight.
That's a wrap on this episode of Flirtations, the celebrity energy episode of the program. Thank you so much to Whitney Uland for coming on the show today. Another dream collaboration here at Flirt Headquarters as we learned all about celebrity energy, what that really is, and how it's going to serve you in your dating life by becoming the ultimate attractor. Yes, becoming irresistible, but really, when you get down to it, it's about authenticity, vibration, energy, stepping into your true self, right? So you can align yourself with the people, places, and things that are truly here for your highest good and your highest benefit. Yeah, I love it. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you so much again to Whitney, and thank you to the Flirties for listening, for tuning in, for streaming wherever you may be in the world. Could not do any of this without you. Please rate, review, subscribe to the show if you haven't already. If you have, thank you so much. Share this episode or another favorite episode of Flirtations with a friend, a family member, someone you want to share some BFE, Big Flirt energy with. I love you for it, helping me out immensely here at Flirt Headquarters. Every time you listen, you download, you subscribe, you rate, review, share, talk about it, all the things. Thank you so much. All right, signing off officially here at Flirt Headquarters. My name is Benjamin. I'm the Flirt Coach and Gay Libra Flirty. Happy flirting.